Hello. Hi. Uh, can you hear me okay, Mr. Mortimer?
Hi, Meade. I hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir, I do. Okay, I'm just going to give a little introduction here. Everyone, this is the Meade Vlog channel, and I have my very first interview with a very interesting person. His name is Mortimer. We were both on the same forum called the Apricity, which is a European heritage appreciation website. And I decided to invite him. I was on his channel recently, and we decided to collaborate together. So first of all, Mortimer, thank you for coming on the program. I want to say you're my very first interviewer, or interviewee, I should say. So if I'm a little rusty, I apologize. I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you don't, any questions you don't feel comfortable with, that's fine. First of all, would you like to give a brief introduction to the audience about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Meade. I am Mortimer, and my real name is Svetozar, but I call myself Mortimer because I watched a spaghetti western, an Italian western with Terence Hill and Bud Spencer, and there was a gunslinger, and he had the mission to kill Terence Hill. And he looked quite badass, and I decided to call myself Mortimer, and it does sound really English.
It does,
And
yeah.
I like English names.
When I
That's
think
why I
of
call myself Mortimer.
right, when I think of the name Mortimer, I think of a English aristocrat like, "Hello, my name's Mortimer." It reminds me. So you like the Anglo names very much.
Yes, and the English language.
So, what is your given name? Can you say it again? And what does it mean? Do you know?
My given name is Svetozar, and it means something like holy fire. Maybe it is a reference to the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is sometimes the fire in the Bible.
Right. And is that what language is that?
Or holy flame, and that is the Serbian language,
Oh, Serbian
a
language.
Slavic language from Southeastern Europe.
Right. So I do have in my notes, you were born in Serbia in 1983, and your father decided to immigrate to Austria looking for work, and he sent for you and your family. Can you tell me about what your experience was like immigrating to Austria? Were you well received? What was your childhood like there in Austria?
First, I had not much ideas about the outside world, but then I soon quickly adapted, and I learned German within half a year. And I had really a great childhood, a nice childhood. I was always well protected by my parents, and some neighbors were really nice where I lived in Austria, and most people were really nice, and I had a nice childhood. I didn't face much challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I was well accepted.
Oh, that's
Really
great.
nice people.
Did you also learn English at the same time you learned the German language?
No, I learned English later. I started learning English in the 4th grade of elementary school. There I started learning English, but it wasn't until my 20s, that I perfected English, because I came online, and online most content is in English.
Yes.
YouTube, social media,
Hmm?
and most things are in English, and they are perfected English. In
Well,
school, it was only a little bit that I learned a little bit in school. I had the basics, but I was not that fluent.
well, yes, it seems like English is becoming almost a universal language. I know they used to say Latin was the universal language, but also there's probably words like German words that exist that don't exist in English and vice versa. I know there's a German word, I think it's Freudenscheiden or something, where you're happy to see someone else have bad luck. It's a German word.
Schadenfreude.
Hide and Freudian, yes. We don't have that in English, but that's very interesting that there's some words that don't translate over. Did you find it hard to learn English? Was it harder for you?
No, English was quite easy. I found Latin quite hard. I still
Latin.
today don't speak Latin. I had Latin in school, but I never perfected it. I still don't speak Latin and barely translate some texts. Only some phrases and words I know. But I
Right.
learned 4 years Latin in school, studied Latin. It was difficult,
Oh,
but
yes.
English was easy.
Hmm. Yes, I think probably, well, English is probably closer to German. I think English is hard, though, for the Orientals and the people in the Far East. It's harder for them. But I think Germans seem to pick up on it. Well, that you spoke German, you could learn English pretty well. The only thing in
Many
English,
words are similar.
yes, we just don't have the masculine and feminine or neuter. I think in German they have neuter and that sort of thing when learning German. I wanted to ask you some more questions. I noticed that on the Apricity, you post really interesting pictures. It seems like you like to dress up in costume. And are you inspired by? Do you think you're inspired by American culture? Do you value Americans a lot? The American traditions a lot?
Yes, I'm quite sure about that. I grew up on American media and I'm always excited if I can meet an American in real. And I really like the American culture. But for me, I mostly know American culture from the media.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
grew up on the movies, on the music, on the magazines, and I really like it. And here in Austria, much is American of American origins, like McDonald's, Burger King, and now most people celebrate Halloween. 25 years ago, when I was a kid, they didn't used to celebrate Halloween, but
Hmm.
now they celebrate Halloween like in the US.
Yes. Yes, Halloween was brought to America by the Irish, I believe. That's who brought it over. It was very controversial when it started here. It was viewed as a pagan holiday, but a lot of churches, the following day is All Saints' Day, so they incorporated that into the church, and they allowed the children on All Hallows Eve to go out and trick or treat. But it seems like you like to dress up. Who's your favorite? Like, do you have any favorite actors or people you look up to, people that you admire that you like to model yourself as?
I like badass characters. They can be diverse or varied, but I
Hmm.
like badass characters. I was always attracted to the bad guy, like Darth Vader.
Oh,
This
okay,
is
Darth
for
Vader.
me, or I dress like a German World War II soldier.
Hmm.
But for me, this is a badass, the bad character. This is what I'm always was fascinated with.
I was too, and I don't think it's because I think it's because a lot of people that are fascinated by the bad characters is because we realize that we all have something bad within us, and we're all sinners, and I think we realize that anyone can do bad things. It's within all of us, and sort of something we try to fight against. Um, are you allowed to dress up as a Nazi in Austria? Is that something legal? Because I heard it's illegal to do the Roman salute and all that sort of thing.
Yes, that's illegal,
Oh.
but you can dress up as a World War II soldier, but you cannot have a symbol like the swastika.
Mm-hmm.
But if you dress only in black shirt and a hat, but the hat has no symbol, it's not illegal.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no symbol,
Right. Well, I think that, my feeling is that a lot of the German soldiers were not bad people. They were just caught in a conflict and they were fighting, for Germany. I think a lot of them are unfortunately villainized. I certainly don't agree. You know, my personal feelings, I don't agree with the Third Reich, but I don't think that those people that were in the army were evil people. I think that's just a, you know, cause of the war. Um, but I would like to ask you some more stuff. So you mentioned that you did you studied law for a little bit. Can you tell me why you just decided to do that, and then you decided to leave? What was your decision in that?
I first wanted to study theology,
Hmm.
but I couldn't realize it for some reason. And then my second choice was law, and uh, I really liked it, and I was not that bad at it. But then I experienced some mental health problems and had to stop because of the mental health problems.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. So were you at a university then in there in Austria?
I was in Linz at the Johannes Kepler University, yes,
Okay. Hmm.
in law school,
Hmm.
what you call in America the law school.
Right. Well, that the fact that you could get into law school, that's very impressive. A lot of people can't even get in there. So I think that, you know, I admire you for trying that. So now your direction is theology. Are you trying to be do you want to be a minister, or what would you like to do now?
Yes, I would like to be ordained as deacon.
Okay.
I, but there is, to be a deacon here in Upper Austria, you need to finish this theology course I'm doing, and you need to do a praxis schooling. But I'm
Oh.
still not into this praxis schooling. I
Hmm.
wrote the parish priest. First is to contact the parish priest of your parish, and then if he approves, you can do this praxis course. But I'm already studying the the fundamental theology.
Hmm.
But you also need to do some practice, of course, uh, how you will behave in church and how you do all this stuff.
So is this
But
a
I wait for
mhm,
the response of the parish priest,
mhm.
if he will let me in.
This is this Orthodox Catholic?
This is Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholic. Hmm. Uh, so Mortimer, I also noticed that you, like me, I hope you don't mind me asking, you know, we both kind of struggle with our weight. You know, I struggle with food, and I'm trying to get in better shape. Are you going through, do you have like an exercise routine that you do, or do you have a certain diet that you're following? Because I know you've lost some weight already, and I was wondering how you're doing with that.
I lost weight by doing intermittent fasting.
Uh-huh.
I eat once a day only.
Oh, okay. So do you
And I
find that?
reduced a lot of calorie intake.
Hmm.
But I don't work out much. I do a little bit of weightlifting and a little bit of boxing. I have a punching bag and do a little bit of boxing, a little bit of weightlifting, but that is not much. I
Hmm.
mainly lost weight by reducing calorie intake, and this is by intermittent fasting. I eat once a day and then next day in 24 hours.
Oh, I see. So you find that that's probably, is it easier actually for you to eat just once a day? Some people find that very difficult. Did you find that easy transition?
For me, it's easier to eat once a day a large meal than to eat three small meals. Because
Right,
when I eat, I want to eat a lot. So
right.
I eat once a day, but I eat a little bit more. I eat a large meal. And this is for me easier than to eat often but small meals.
Yeah, that's I agree. I tried 6 small meals a day, and I just ended up hungrier. And I find that if I'm not hungry, I just don't need to eat. I think that when people do the small meals, actually it trains them to eat more than just eating one or two meals a day. So I think that's neat, and I also agree with you that I think that weight loss is mostly diet. I think the exercise helps to build muscle, but you need the diet is the important part. So I was going to ask you a few other interesting questions. What kind of things really annoy you? Do you find certain things that bother you quite a bit? Like certain, I guess you call them pet peeves is what I'm asking. Do you have any things that bother you that other people do, or things that
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Recently, I'm quite bothered by the rainbow flag of the LGBTQ movement on every building, even on churches.
Oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
here in Pride Month in Austria, the government, the syndicates, everyone, just about everyone, raised the rainbow flag, the
Oh.
gay rainbow flag, the LGBTQ,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like that.
No, I don't. I think
Pride comes
right.
before the fall.
Oh, exactly. See, my feeling is if a person like lives, in a private residence and they have that flag, I don't like it, but that's one thing. But if the government does it, then that's really bad because the government is endorsing, this degeneracy. I know that the rainbow, and I'm sure you know this, that the rainbow was a Christian symbol. It was God's promise to Noah that he wouldn't flood the earth again. I feel like, do you think that we can take back the rainbow? I'm hoping maybe we can take that back maybe one
I
day.
hope that too. And in the Catholic Church, June is the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And the rainbow is originally a Christian symbol. And I hope we can take that back. We should pray and
Yes.
evangelize to make more people Christians. And once they are Christian, they will reject these false ideas.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. So I live in a very liberal city, but I don't see the rainbow flag everywhere. So I rarely see it. I saw it a few times around, but I think the United States, even though we've gotten liberal, I don't think we are where Austria is or Germany. I feel like they are ahead of us, and they're trying to do that here. But I'm glad that you're fighting back. I think. Do you think that the younger people in Austria are getting more Christian, or do you think that they're going the other way? Do you think they're going into atheism?
I think the younger people are getting more Christian, but they're getting less Catholic, but they're getting more into free churches.
Right.
Do you know the free churches? I think they're evangelical.
Evangelical. Uh-huh.
Yes, and the young people are in free churches,
Yes.
but they're Christian.
Right.
But all Catholic are mostly old people.
So, you don't agree with evangelical churches? I know that some evangelicals actually are very conservative, and then they have more liberals. But what are your thoughts? See, I was reading a book on Martin Luther, and I was wondering what your thoughts on Martin Luther, because he started in your area pretty much. Do you object to Protestantism, or do you?
I don't object to conservative Protestantism because it's similar like all other Christian branches, but I object to the liberal ones.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree with you.
And there are many such churches. Some are liberal, some are conservative. I don't object to the conservative ones.
Right. Yes. One thing I really like about the Catholic Church is they're very outspoken on abortion. They're very pro-life, and I don't hear the evangelicals speak out against it. So do you consider yourself pro-life, and what is it like over there, the politics, and do they have a Planned Parenthood in Austria as well?
I consider myself pro-life,
Hmm.
and I'm not too sure if they have a. I think they don't have a Planned Parenthood, but abortion is of course legal. But I think it is not that bad. It is not like Planned Parenthood. I think here it's a compromise.
Hmm.
But I consider myself pro-life, and I don't know if you remember, but I sent you an email with a link to sign a pro-life
Yes.
petition.
Hmm. Yes, I do. Yes, I remember. I would like to ask you, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where would you like to be? Would you like to be, married, or where would you like to be living? Do you think you will be living somewhere else? What are your plans?
I didn't thought that much ahead,
Hmm.
but I would like to have a family. Yes,
Hmm.
I would like to be married and to have children.
Hmm.
I always wanted children, but I couldn't realize it because I didn't found the woman for me. It was not
Yeah.
my time. I think I want to do God's will and to listen to what is His plan for me, to understand what is His plan for me. And I think it was not in His plan that I until now marry. And if it's God's will, I will marry. But if it's not His will, I will accept it.
Yes. Yes, I
And
agree.
I try to listen to what is His will and do His will.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's where I am right now with myself. I feel that, if it be thy will, that I will be married and have children one day. But I think that's the sad thing is so many people take marriage as a very lightly. They take it way too lightly, and they take children for granted. There's a lot of people that wish they could be married, but they're not married, um, and they want to have children. I feel like we're living in a throwaway society, and that's the sad part about it. I think a lot of people don't appreciate the sanctity of marriage. But a lot of young people also are not getting married. I noticed that where I am. I don't know where you are, but a lot of people well into their 30s are not married. And I think that's a trend that it looks like it's going to continue. But I think if you were to get married, do you think that would you like to have a wife that was also probably shared your values, I imagine? For me, she has to be a Christian. So I assume that you would want a Christian wife as well.
Yes, I want a Christian wife, or at least someone who won't bring me away from the Christian path.
Yes.
Someone someone who supports me. She
So,
can be agnostic, but she should accept my faith. I'm tolerant to other faiths, but she should also tolerate my faith. And there are some militant people who hate Christians, like anti-theists. That's
yeah.
not atheist, that's anti-theist. And they don't like you believing God. And this is not something I can compromise about. So she should share my passion for Jesus.
Yes. Yes, I agree. When you so I think I've seen you on the Apricity. I know you've been on other phenotype forums. How did you get into that? What brought you into the phenotypes and the heritage? Was that something you just picked up as you learned about your own?
I started by learning about myself. I was quite insecure and uncertain what I look like and who I am. And I was insecure and complex because I was also bullied as a kid
Mm-hmm.
because of my darker looks. In Austria, most people are quite fair, and I was one of the few, the only one in my school who was dark, and I was bullied,
Mm-hmm.
and I was quite insecure. And then I started learning about phenotypes, where I fit in, and then I stuck over the years.
Yes. So you've been to, I know the Apricity, there's one called Arthroscape and Anthroscape, and I think there's a number of others. I like the Apricity, but it's not quite the way it was when I started. You know, I feel like it's getting not quite as enjoyable. But I just wanted to, I just wondered what you think about the Apricity. Do you have any favorite posters, people on the Apricity that are no longer there that you remember? Is there if there's anything that you like, special people that you ran into on the Apricity that you wish were still there?
I remember one funny Serbian girl. Her name was the Vogue Whisperer.
Oh, okay.
She was a Serbian American from California,
Yes.
and she was a funny troll.
Yeah. A funny
And I wish she would be still here because she was really funny and pretty.
Yes. Well, I think that's one of the things I do notice, that the Apricity doesn't have many females on it. It's mostly males. So it's refreshing when the females come on
Yes.
to the Apricity. So also, so I know you were born in Serbia, but when I see you, like especially a lot of your pictures, it feels like you look more like an Austrian to me. Do you still identify as a Serb, or do you feel like you're a mix of both? Do you feel like you're both kind of a mix of the two?
I feel like a mix of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I retain some cultural background from Serbia, but I adopted quite a lot of new stuff from Austria.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a mix of both because I grew up here and I speak better German than Serbian.
Yes, yes.
Because I didn't learn the Serbian grammar. I was never in Serbia in school. I didn't learn Serbian in school. Because if you are a kid and you go to school, you learn the language. But I learned only German.
Right. How do Serbians view Austrians? Is there any kind of clash between the two, or do they get along pretty well?
Historically, there was some clash, but nowadays they get along pretty well. I think the Serbian President Vucic is a good friend of the Austrian Chancellor Kurz. And I think Austria is investing a lot of money in the Balkans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
There are lots of Austrian businesses in Serbia. And I think they're getting along well in these days.
Okay. Lastly, I would like to ask you, and you may not want to answer, I know it's a very controversial question, but as a Christian, how do you feel about Israel? I know there's a lot of back and forth about the Palestinians and Israelis. I for one, support Israel. Do you feel the same? Do you in general support Israel, or do you view it as more of there should be a two-state solution?
I support Israel, and I don't view Israel as a bad apartheid country. I think this is all a lie.
Yes.
I think Israel is one of the few democracies in the Middle East, or the only democracy in the Middle East.
Yes.
And a pro-Western country, and I support Israel.
Yes, I agree.
I don't support terrorists.
Right. I think Israel has been unjustly vilified. And I think that I think they will be vindicated. But I think as Christians, for me, it's a biblical thing. It's Israel is a part of the biblical prophecy. Well, Mortimer, it looks like we're coming towards the end of our interview. I want to thank you so much Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to share with the audience? Do you have any websites you'd like people to see, or do you have anything that you'd like to say for the end?
I have a YouTube channel, and I would like more subscribers. If you could link to my YouTube channel, I would be very thankful.
Yes, I sure
And you
will.
are really a great man and a good singer.
Oh, thank
I
you.
enjoy your music and your YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you. Well, I enjoyed talking with you, and thank you for being my first interview. I'll be uploading this soon so everyone can see it, and I'll be sharing it. Thank you so much, Mortimer. Have a great evening where you are.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
Bye.